Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Future Forum. We are on day two. Now, we had a phenomenal day yesterday talking about education, energy, and equality. And we were reminded that in all of our sessions that change begins with us. Change begins with what we do today. And today we are talking about technology, agriculture, arts, and culture. Now, all of these are really important elements to consider in our development. So, before we begin, please remember to use the chats and polls to share your questions and comments and vote in the polls on the ideas that you've heard today and that you're hearing today about our future. Again, the special part about Future Forum is that everybody presents their ideas for the future in 5 minutes. So we really get to hear what we need to do to build this ideal future that we need. So we're going straight into our first panel this morning, where we have some really fantastic industry leaders in technology. Joining us on this panel as well is Jawanza. Now, Jawanza is 17 years old. He's a Heroes Youth participant and he's extremely passionate about technology. Now, he's an aspiring professional coder and he intends to use his skills to assist and educate persons of all ages on what coding can do for them. Positively impacting the lives of persons is his passion. Building performance teams with a common vision is his calling. Well, I'm talking about no other person than Mr. Charles Bob Semple, who is the CEO of the National Information and Communication Company Limited, or as we all know it, iGovTT. Stephanie Pemberton is a businesswoman and entrepreneur philanthropist with a passion for developing people so that they can live sustainable lives. She is the CEO of Planting Seeds Caribbean, and she's really been using technology to help entrepreneurs build sustainable businesses. Also on this morning is Mr. Bernardo Fabrega, who is the Digital Solutions Architect Manager for the Caribbean and Central America. Now, we all know about digital and the fantastic work that they are doing. So we'll hear a lot more this morning about what's in store for us as a region with technology. As we do things on Future Forum, we're going to start off with the youth view on the future of technology and how they think we should be using technology going forward. So it is my absolute pleasure to share with you this morning the youth view on technology.
As our world becomes more and more technologically advanced, small countries like Trinidad and Tobago aren't to be left behind.
Classrooms must be equipped with technology. Technology enriches classrooms with access to digital learning tools. It broadens course options, experiences, and learning resources. Children are more excited to learn when they can do activities online that are both interactive and informative. This would motivate children to participate more and get enthusiastic about going to school.
New technology is required in classrooms but also in hospitals. Imagine how effective our hospital will be if the whole population had access to cutting-edge medical technologies or medical records online. More people might be treated and cared for, which will be beneficial to our society in the long run.
We can get so many things done faster if everyone used technology when necessary.
So true. Implementing programs for children to learn how to use technology from young would give them the advantage as they grow older. They can even learn programming at school.
With the technology sector, more opportunities become available. If the foundation skills are developed at an early age, we can achieve greater success anywhere in the world. For example, technical leads, game developers and web developers and even social media specialists are high in demand.
The government can create opportunities to entice people to enter the technology field by hosting programs at every educational level, having showcases and issuing grants for technology-based startups.
Technology can be incorporated into other sectors of our economy. For instance, solar-powered drones can be used in both national security and agriculture.
The future holds more invitations to technology, and we as a nation should move forward so that we are not left in the dust.
That's an absolutely exciting future that is there for technology. I want to bring into the conversation now Mr. Bob Semple from iGovTT. And we heard about what the youth had to say about what they want to see for the future of Trinidad and Tobago. And now we're looking forward to hear about your plans for the future of technology in Trinidad and Tobago. So, sir, the floor is yours. Well, the digital space is yours.
Thanks very much, Lawrence. Pleasure to be here, everyone. I just have a short presentation to share with us, and you should be seeing it on the screen now. If not, can the host please put it up? Appreciated. Great. So this morning is a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Ministry of Digital Transformation at the Heroes Foundation, and as a matter of fact, to speak to the digital heroes. Because what I heard just now as well, if you look at the definition of a digital hero, is someone who contributes to the future of the ICT sector, whether it's in ideas or execution to implement what we thought of. Now, several of the things that we spoke of will be items to carry us from one way of consuming goods and services by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, as a matter of fact, private sector as well, at your doorstep. In the very words of our Minister of Digital Transformation, Minister Hasselbackers, he quote, "It is a new way to address the consumption and delivery of end-to-end goods and services to customers using appropriate digital technology." In other words, some of the ideas that were put forward is in terms of digital training and so on. But what about if there are services that normally you have to go in a line for or pay over a counter? Is there a way that this can be consumed and you could get it at your doorstep by interacting with some system, whether it's a bot or online? So those are some of the ideas that we want from the digital heroes, which is everyone on board right now. Some of the emerging opportunities that the Ministry of Digital Transformation is working on, and I heard it mentioned in the wonderful slide just now, and you'll see some doors are opening and so on, is digital skills literacy. That is one, and also having workshops where we could harness these skills, albeit at the moment it will be virtually, and soon we will be able to have the walk-in. Now, some of you will be aware that there are access centers where we could furnish persons with virtual training, and the access centers serve to connect and bridge that digital divide for persons who may be in underserved communities and may not have access to connectivity. One of the things that we're hoping for, we're working toward, is that the Ministry of Digital Transformation and Public Service will be transformed in such a way that it will be the promised land for ICT employment, and not only employment, but that we will be able to create and utilize services and provide services for persons throughout the region. Key and paramount in the minister's discussions, as you will hear in anything that you hear and listen from him, is for us, by us. In other words, if we come up with an idea, let us create it and let us consume it. You will see I have one Apollo, and on it is HackTT, and the third item is hackathons, right? Now, sometimes when we speak of hackathons and so on, the end result is a program saying hello world. But in a hackathon, that we hosted, and we intend to host a lot more, out of the hackathon, there were very, very innovative solutions. Employee TT was created by the developers within the hackathon. We invited all 18 tertiary institutions, 22 teams of 5 participated, and the winners, they created Employee TT e-appointment. Employee TT is a solution where persons can apply for government jobs, and you also have the possibility of getting that job automatically, and the ministry or division or agency at their fingertips. We could shortlist all of the applicants to determine the best fit. This was done by y'all, e-appointment, making appointments with government. So sometimes you have an appointment and you walk in, y'all created a solution that this is not required. And we are actually in the process of rolling these solutions out. Further, many of us will be aware of TT Connect, ttconnect.gov.tt, where government has a single interface with public service. Some of the things that the solutions that went on is the ability to chat with live agents. And in the absence of agents, we have begun to utilize bots and introduce artificial intelligence. Now, to transform into a digital economy, we not only, we cannot take small strides, as Joanza would have mentioned in the discourse. We cannot even take, we cannot do any leapfrogging, as we all aware. But you see, in Trinidad and Tobago, we go in to take Mokajambi strides. It will not be something that is simple. It will not be something that may be comfortable. There may be some challenging discussions and how we execute. But we need to take Mokajambi strides. And if you're watching Mokajambi walking, the Mokajambi is deliberate. It's not random steps, it's deliberate, but large strides that we can benefit from in learning from what other persons may have done and what didn't work too well, and make adjustments according to our reality. But you see, to make this happen, guys, and I'm so happy that we have the opportunity to share in this forum. One of the main thing as I close, is partnerships. We would like to partner with Heroes Foundation. We would like to partner with the persons who are in this forum as we execute and we advance in the initiatives that we would like to do. We need the right persons to get involved in the revolution. Yes, we need a revolution, because you see, these Mokajambi strides could only be achieved through a revolution. I would have mentioned some things where we'll train, but we not only need to train, we need to empower, give persons the ability so to do, understanding that there may be failure and accepting risk in terms of failure and the ability to learn. And we all need to activate and launch to execute. Guys, thanks so much for the 5-minute sharing, and looking forward to the continued discussions with our digital heroes.
I'm actually not hearing anything.
My mic was unmuted again. Mr. Bob Semple, definitely up for partnership. We're going to have a lot of conversations going forward to bring the youth into this digital space, to take those Mokajambi strides. Stephanie, I'm going to toss over straight to you now to take us through, your ideas for, how do we really digitize the Caribbean?
Okay, great. So I have a presentation just based on a few elements that we as Planting Seeds have come up with in terms of encouraging digitization. Obviously, we have a platform where we are able to easily digitize SMEs and get them into the system. And we are working more with different agencies, including people like the Ministry of Legal Affairs and, Export TT and all of the ministries that support the digitization of businesses, and where the platform basically allows people to hurry up and get their online stores set up, retail outlets, delivery services, distribution contracts, also help with their trademarks, legals, items, patents, all of these different elements that, basically require digitization. So this is the overall road to digitization. I'm not going to talk too much of the platform. If you do want to know more about it or get involved with Planting Seeds, you can always check us out at plantingseedscaribbean.com. But this is really the road, to digitization. It's an uphill battle. It's a climb. And as we can go along with the slides, you can move them to the next one. And you could just keep them moving along. The first thing that we need to do is adopt and enable technology. And what I really like is the present future, the Jetsons versus the Flintstones. I think a lot of people would be able to relate it. What it is what we look right now basically is more of the Flintstone Stone Age type. And what we have to realize is that we are actually living in a world where we are at the Jetsons level. People are sending people out to space. There's a lot going on with technology and digital, and this is what we have to do. That road and that climb is to transition, and we're seeing these transitions happen with the emergence of many different apps that are coming out now that are enabling different items that we actually saw on the Jetsons. So on this futuristic family, they would be sitting down having a meal, and they would literally push a button, and food gets delivered to them straight to their table. And that's basically what all of these different food apps and stuff are doing. Obviously, they're international ones, but local ones as well. And what digitization brings is the economic efficiency of the actual economy itself. The food apps are reducing overheads, they're reducing congestion on the road, they're increasing market reach, less table turnover. Restaurants don't have to now only worry about, okay, a customer is sitting down at the table for too long, somebody else can't sit there. It gives the restaurants themselves higher margins, and it actually transcends to better prices for the consumers and a reduction in overall, the cost of real estate. Revenue and food sales, and here are just some stats to show, increased by 204% in the past 5 years in terms of the actual revenue generated by online sales in the US. And, this massive increase and this massive bubble shows that the world is more headed in towards this direction. And we need to understand that the conventional ways of doing things need to be adjusted. 55% of consumers will be ordering online for grocery deliveries by 2024. These are the projections. And this is the future that we're living in right now. And this is basically why we, are showing that road to digitization. There's a lot more that goes into it. I know that I don't have time to finish all, but we're still going. Okay, great, perfect. I thought that I was out of time. I'm really glad that the speaker before me spoke about, artificial intelligence and the government's applications of that. We also saw that in the Jetsons when, his friend was one of the computers and his work colleague was a computer. And there are so many different advantages of AI: smart decision making, enhanced consumer experience, medical advances. And we really need to be investing and looking at these different types of technologies in order to be able to become a digitization culture and enable that digitization. It keeps sliding. Digitization also helps with the environment. Right now, I'm looking out my window and I'm seeing loads of traffic, loads of congestion, greenhouse gas emissions being released. And at the end of the day, do we all need a family of 3 cars when there are 2 people, and does everybody need to be on the road at the same time? Or can we now ensure that, they have services, deliveries, ways to optimize that the lack of congestion and traffic on the road, actually waste a lot of time as well, and that's why I'd like to look at a few people that are enabling the digitization and enabling what most of us are trying to push for in terms of digitization right now. Here are a few companies that are doing it. Virtual Wellness is one. They have a free online clinic where they are now able to doctors are able to reach out and give consumers a little bit of assistance in terms of a digital interface where they can talk to doctors. And this really helps because this can actually be a huge way of preventing disease and illness. Sometimes an older person may not be able to make it all the way to a hospital or a doctor. If they have a little thing that's bothering them, they can just get online and actually check it out with the doctor before it worsens, and then decide to go to, get full medical assistance if it's needed. But at least now the opportunity to speak to a doctor is online, and you don't have to have that barrier of getting to an actual clinic. Ordering prescriptions is also a really big thing that's helping people around the world. There's a company in Trinidad called Medal, and what they are doing is online prescriptions for all of the different people in the nation that would want to order their medications, which is really, really helpful. I've spoken to them, and they have some amazing stats around the world that show that so many people end up just not fulfilling their subscriptions because they don't have access to get there in time. Older people especially, some people actually just end up dying in their homes because they haven't gotten the right prescriptions or haven't taken their usual subscriptions coming in all of the time. And, it also puts a lighter burden on the overheads that any kind of pharmacy will have to undergo, because now you have a digital place and you can put resources towards actually improving the service and the prescriptions and getting it done, rather than having to build a compound and clear trees and like all of these kind of things. So basically it's showing us that people in Trinidad are moving towards it, and companies like Medal and Virtual Wellness in the healthcare industry are really people that are like the enablers. We can keep going. I have 1 minute left, so let's run through as fast as we can. Obviously, Zoom meetings are great, reduce travel expenses and reduce population. It also helps us keep a little bit more connected with our families. And Zoom services, you can also do your personal training sessions. I know a lot of kids are doing yoga. We also have to start embracing fintech payment solutions. PayPal, Samsung Pay, Venmo is a big one, and WePay is our Caribbean local payment solution that a lot of people are also using. You can keep going. And what we are doing at Planting Seeds is we are digitizing SMEs. And on to the next slide, we have a seed store that we basically help people either shop by category or shop by store. And what they're able to do with that is have their own individual websites and get started really, really quickly. So we can basically let them, have all of their payments online, their customer service reviews, their products, their orders. From the minute someone signs up onto our platform, it takes us all of 2 minutes in order for us to set up an online store. And then, within the next hour, they can start ordering, and someone picks up the item from them and drops it to their end consumer, gets it, funds into their bank accounts, and fills that whole gap of having to build a physical space or reach to consumers. So it's a really good technological solution for SMEs, and that is how we are enabling the digitization environment. I think we should be finishing up. So
Definitely was fantastic, really fantastic presentation. Everybody knows who follows me on social media that I love planting seeds. I can get everything I need locally. They're delivered to me for free. So really great work in actually taking digitization to the people who need it. I want to bring into the conversation now Mr. Fabrega. Now, sir, please let me know if I am pronouncing your name incorrectly. I do try my best to pronounce people's name the way they see it, because it's their name, and that's a very important point for all you young people out there. Your name is important. Make sure people pronounce it properly. So, Mr. Fabrega, you're doing some fantastic work across at Digicel. Let's hear from you now.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. So you spelled my name right. So it's Fabrega. Yep. So Digicel has been working for the last 5 years on digitizing the Caribbean. And actually my position in Digicel is to expand IoT into other Caribbean and Central American countries. So if you can go to the next slide, please. I'm gonna work and show you exactly what we're doing. And actually, this is not really future. This is now. We are doing this today in different countries in the Caribbean and Central America, and these are projects that are already helping citizens and countries to have a better life. I'm gonna give you a few examples of what we're doing today. So, for example, policing. Imagine that you have an old parent, an uncle, grandfather that is missing, and you don't know where they are. You call the police. So nowadays, what happens probably is that police will start looking for it, but it will be very difficult. And it will be a task where you probably will need to have a lot of manpower to manage. Now, with technologies, you will be able to use AI, artificial intelligence, and cameras to look for a person's picture. And in this picture, you're gonna see like color of skin, the face, what he was probably wearing, and analyzing that information, the system will tell you exactly the coordinates where this person is. It's going to look for the closest police officer where the situation is. It's going to send a picture, probably even a real-time picture of the camera that is showing where the person is. It's going to help him with application like Waze or Google Maps and show them the best way, best route to get to that location. And as they found them, they will be able to now communicate back with their families. And instead of waiting for hours, even days, you, in a matter of minutes, you will have your family member again with you. Another area where we're looking at is on health. Something very cool that we're doing is we are working with different countries also on managing all the patient's records. So nowadays, probably when you go to your doctor or you're going to a new hospital, the doctor will ask you a lot of questions because they don't know your records. Okay, you not hear me well? Let me get closer to the mic, sorry. How about now? Cool. Okay, sorry guys. So I was saying, with digital records, you will be able to know exactly what the patient's history is, and you will be able to go to any hospital in the country and you will have everything that you need to have good information for your patients. Okay, so something else that we're working on is on accessibility. So imagine you're going to a cricket game. Nowadays, probably you want to go early because you want to make sure you get a parking spot and you get on time. Now with applications with accessibility, you can probably, before you leave to the game, you can go to an app, check on the parking spot you want to use, if it's available, spot it only for you, and ask the application to show you the best route to get there and avoid traffic. So things that very good example, Panama was playing yesterday with Costa Rica, football match here in Panama, and it was total chaos. So people going to the football game trying to go on time, and because there's not enough parking space and you don't know if you're gonna get one, you go and you go early to try to get a parking spot. So traffic like 3-4 hours before the game, just because you want to get on time and don't lose any part of the match. Okay. So something else that we're working on also is on building management or building automation. The example I'll show you here is more on house, but it's also applicable to any size of building. Imagine you're going back home from school. Okay, when you're going to school, when you go back to the house, probably a kilometer before you get to the house, your house knows that you're getting there. Turns on your air conditioning in your room, dims the lights, close the curtains, puts your preferred Spotify channel, and start playing some music. And before you get there, probably your house also noticed that your pet doesn't have any food to eat. So, and he's gonna tell you he's gonna send for some groceries. So he will send an email to the grocery stores that you're coming there to pick up the groceries, and they will have it ready for you. So you will go pass through, pay, and they go back home. Or if you're going and looking in applications for agriculture, not necessarily has agriculture has to be a farm. Agriculture is anything that has to do with plants. So imagine you have a business where you want to make sure that your plants are not exposed to sun all of the time, or that if it's raining, don't put more water to the plants because they're going to die on you. Or imagine that your soil tells you when you need to put more fertilizer because your plants need more fertilizer. So these applications, all of these applications exist now. This is not something that we're telling you that is going to be on the future. If you go and explore in the internet, this is happening now. And actually, more than one of these examples is things that we're doing already with customers in the Caribbean and Central American region. Could you go to the next slide, please? The next one, yes. Okay, so a few more examples are things that we do to make utilities work better. Okay, so nowadays, if you're doing energy metering or water meters, probably you have people going and taking the read from the meter and taking it back to the office and collecting that data, processing the data, and getting the bill is a process that probably takes 10 or 15 days. Now with electric meters, you can connect to any wireless network and you have access to information immediately. Not only that, you can do things like open and close valves. So, for example, you want to do a prepaid service instead of a regular postpaid service, you can have a system where you scratch a card, put how much money you want to put on your meter, and then immediately this information will go into the system and it will open the valves to get you water until your account expires. Okay, something else we're doing, again, a little bit more about smart buildings. We don't do houses only, we do buildings. So we can manage air conditioning systems, we can manage elevators, we can manage the lights on the building, and all of that transfer into savings. So it is two things that we want to do when we do smart. We want to do savings and we want to do green. Both things, one helps the other, and we always, when you do a project, has very important return on investment. So projects that we do normally, instead of having a big investment that will take you years to pay back, you probably, with all the savings that you get, you will get paid back in just a couple of years. Okay, could we go to the next? So finally, and then I'm going to show you a small video of an example of one of our products of what they're doing, is how do you serve better your country, your city? So with smart information, smart sensors, smart meters, you have what you call a cycle of what things that you do to have a better country, better city. Okay, so you start by deploying sensors everywhere. These sensors will be the sensors that collect water, that collect not only water for metering, but water for floods, or wind speed, or temperature, humidity, traffic lights, all of this information that you're managing and collecting. Then you will analyze, and this information that you analyze, you use to improve, and you continue and do the cycle again. And the idea is that you don't do a cycle once, you always have a cycle to make sure that you're improving your city and the life of your citizens. So I'm going to go to the next slide. This next slide is probably a little longer than the time that I have. So Lawrence, if you need to shorten it, it's okay. But this explains you exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so you can put it. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, it doesn't have audio. I thought I was going to hear the audio. So I'm going to probably explain a little bit what we're doing here. Can you do audio? That's fine. So it explains what it's doing. So
Okay, so tech is trying to get that video up and running for us.
Okay.
Also. But till that happens, what I want to do is I want to bring everybody into the conversation now. 'Cause I was blown away by all of the presentations. what I got from everything was that there are countless opportunities available for us right now that we in Trinidad and Tobago could be leveraging and using to really digitize our Caribbean. Um, but what I want to do now, since we're getting some issues with the video, is I want to bring in Joanza, our youth participant here, because it is a youth forum, and we want to get the views of the youth guiding everything that we do. Joanza, can you tell us, like, what did you hear this morning that really excites you, that really helps you, gets you excited about what you is for Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, pleasant good morning, everyone. Hola, buenos días to all the Venezuelan participants and all, and the wider world. Well, as you know, my name is Jawanza. As you know, my name is Jawanza Phillips. And based on the presentation that I've heard so far, I really enjoyed it, especially the one with the planting seeds and that whole initiative. I've always been like, when it used to show on TV, on TV6, I used to like tune into it and I used to like to hear about those kind of stuff and all this stuff because as a person, I really like to, learn new things and whatnot, pick up, like, gather information and all these things and learn different things in my life. So I really like what you guys are doing, and also the whole thing with the digital. I wasn't too sure exactly what we was talking about, but I like the idea of the whole network that you're building. So, thank you very much. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Joanza. I like conversation. So the next part of this is really going to be open as a conversation flow. And I really want to hear from all of you all, Bernardo, Stephanie, Charles. Really, I want to see Trinidad and Tobago taking these Mokojumbi strides. Digital is doing some fantastic work. Planting Seeds is doing some fantastic work. iGov is doing some fantastic work. We know there are challenges. We know that. What do we need to be doing together? What do we need to put in place in Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that we can really take those Mokojumbi strides towards this technology-driven future that we want to see? And Stephanie, I'm going to ask you to go first on this one, since you're in it.
Right. I think that there is a lot of potential in terms of unlocking the youth and the young people in Trinidad and Tobago. There's a lot of education that needs to go around the whole thought of digitization. And I think that people need to understand how to embrace it. I think that that's really the big blockage. I think that the governments and the businesses and the companies are making the right moves, and young people like Joanza is making the right moves. But there is a gap in terms of the people probably between, the ages of, 30 to 50 that are accustomed to a certain way. And, some of them, I wouldn't say anybody between 30 and 50 is accustomed to that way, because there are a lot of innovators between that age bracket. But from what I'm seeing in Trinidad and Tobago, I feel as though that age bracket hasn't really fully accepted it. Unlike the next generation that is coming up. I see it on the site. We have over 500 SMEs on our platform. And, there is one boy that's 16 years old, and he was the quickest to adapt to the technology. Like, he got in, he started doing all of his, orders, getting his orders out there, advertising on social, and really working that delivery system, which then allows him to have less overheads than the conventional hardware store that somebody would go to. And he had a buy and sell business. He was doing the same things, importing from China and selling it. But at the same time, he was offering better prices and lower margins because he doesn't have a physical space that he needs to take care of. And I think that the more we start listening to the young voices, empowering them to work towards this futuristic goal, which Bernardo actually said that we're living right now. I think the more that we put that out in the media and the more that we change the mindset, the more people will start adopting and using the enablers, using iGov, using Connect TT, and thinking about how they could save on the electricity bill by using a Digicel solution that turns off the lights when you leave the house. People just aren't thinking of it, and these are the things that my father used to buff me about when I was younger. Turn off the lights, they wasted the electricity, and we have a solution for it. So the problem exists. People have identified the problem. I think it's the education and the mindset that needs to have a big alter. And we need to start listening to younger people, like Joanza, which is why I'm 100% fully supportive of the Heroes Foundation for bringing them to the forefront. Having someone like him on this panel is great because it shows that this is what they want. This is the new demand. These are the new consumers. Let's start working with them from now.
Thank you, Stephanie. Bernardo, do you want to jump in this conversation? What do we need to put in place? What else do we need to put in place so that I can feed my dog when I'm not home?
Very brief here. Yeah, you look like Stephanie was saying. So youth is what we need to get people, adults, to understand what we need for this today, future, the future that is now. Examples that we do on our applications, everything that we do needs coding. Okay, if you talk to an adult about doing coding for an application for plants, they will start talking about what do I need to do to make it simple. And you talk to a student or to talk to a kid, and he's gonna think about the plants, not the application. How do I get the plants to grow? How do I get the sun not to burn the plants? So students or kids in general think differently than adults. I don't make things more complex than they really need to be.
Thank you very much, Charles. Let's hear your thoughts on this one.
Hey, Lawrence. Well, it's a combination of what was said, right? I think is a demand supply scenario. So, for instance, if Joanza and all of us here, we demand, we want these type of services, it will push and activate the ecosystem, because a lot of times we speak of digital transformation, and you'll see the graphic behind me is a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. We speak of it as if it is a technology thing, right? But it's really and truly a behavioral, a cultural aspect. So we first need to want it, have the correct mindset to go at it. But what we are, some of the things that Stephanie would have mentioned, some of the things that we are doing in government side. We are creating the respective infrastructure and the foundation platforms based on like the hackathon and the advice we get from younger persons and the desire for where we would want to go. But you still have the situation where a lot of records and so on are in manual format. So there are two things that need to happen. We need to digitize, which is to convert the paper into electronic, and then digitalize, which is be able to have end-to-end services of which that digitized piece of information will be a subset. So I think we are totally on the right path. I would prefer that we're in a period that could turn around quickly, but in a cruise ship sometimes take time. And while we on the right path, we really need to, and I strongly believe in this. I strongly believe that is partnerships will get us there. All of us having the same mindset. Stephanie, Bernardo, yourself, Arjun, Joanza, the entire team, all of us having that single focus, like the Mokojambi taking a big stride. This is where we're going, this is where we are all going. Or most of us, and take the step and action it. Because one of the watchwords we have in the ministry is hope. And we want to move further to hope in terms of demonstrating faith with action. So, thanks for the opportunity and looking forward for us to really digitalize the Trinidad and Tobago and move forward.
I really love the synergies in what all three of you all have to say, particularly, listening to the youth learning from the youth, their openness, their attitudes. Really good insights. Joanza, this is your up, man. You're getting a chance to ask these phenomenal experts the questions that you want to ask about the future. So I'm gonna let you take over and let you ask your questions to them.
Oh, okay. So I have a question for each of you, and it's a different question. So, starting with Mr. Now, please forgive me because if my pronunciation of names is ridiculous. So I will start with Mr. Is it Bernardo?
Bernardo, yeah.
Right. Mr. Bernardo, like, how exactly did you get started in your whole field of work? Because working at digital is not something that you really hear persons like your ordinary persons do. So how
Yeah,
exactly did you get
thank you for
started?
the question. I studied electronic engineering a long time ago. See my gray hair. So electronic engineering let me work in different companies, mainly in telecom companies. But at around 15 years ago, I was the CTO for the Innovation Authority of Panama. So, and actually, I would say that position there opened my eyes to what it needed to happen everywhere, innovation. Okay, so innovation is not about doing something, it's about thinking about the future and how to make things better in the future. Okay, I still feel I'm 52 years old, I still feel I'm an innovator. I think innovation, like Charles says, doesn't have an age. Maybe we think differently, so we connect the buttons differently. Youth thinks on things totally different like we do. You are simpler than we are. And so when I worked in innovation, Diesel was one of my providers, and I love the company. They are in Panama. They're small, not very big like in the Caribbean, but they're always the challenger. They're always thinking out of the box, and that's what I love about the company. I was talking to the other carriers, and they were thinking about all stuff, things that I already did or I wanted to do differently. And then I started to talk to Diesel, and they blow my mind every time because they talk about something completely different. So, and actually, I took some of their ideas and I implemented them. So, and they told me, hey, now that you finished your term, why don't you come and work with us? So I've been working in Diesel for 9 years now.
Thank you very much for that insightful
You're welcome.
information, sir. I learned a lot from your whole background and your experience out it on it. Now I would like to ask Miss Stephanie now this
Cool.
question. Miss Stephanie, like planting seeds, this whole initiative, because I know myself, I know a little bit about the whole the bacchanal app. I heard it is like an initiative where it's like you bring people into to the business or something. So, but I would like you to like give an over like your experience in the whole business side of it.
Okay,
Like,
sure. Well, first of all, we started off as we're an entrepreneurship development company essentially. We have a TV show, a digital magazine, and we do loads of workshops, school tours around the country that educate people on business. Basically, what the show did was basically it's a Shark Tank Dragons Den type model. We've had Damon John from Shark Tank actually come to Trinidad and show support. And what we did is we've been able to get people to reinvest in entrepreneurs. So on the show, we get them investments and we show how those investments pan out and how those deals pan out. With the emergence of COVID, we've always wanted to digitize companies before, but a lot of the businesses just were reluctant to do it. They didn't want to take that leap into really making sure that their entire business is now somewhat digitized. And COVID actually pushed a lot of people into that. So during the COVID, March 2020, we launched a hosting platform for a digital marketplace that basically includes a lot of the entrepreneurs, but not in the sense that you have to just buy and sell like Amazon. It actually gives you your own individual online store, so that you have your own URL hosted on our platform, so you don't have to go and invest in a website and all of these things. It's also attached to our delivery service, a company that I am also a CEO of, which is Pinkab, which empowers women. It's a ride sharing application, and we have over 300 drivers in the application in Trinidad and Tobago, and they are out every day, out now, doing deliveries. We've gotten about 400 to 500 businesses now that are actively using the platform, over 60,000 customers and users, and we are slowly making that progress towards it. In terms of my experience with it thus far, it has been difficult. I mean, we found that a lot of entrepreneurs, some of them were able to adapt really easily, and then some of them, it took a really long time. And then we also built out the application so that they have their digital, their financials digitized. They can book all of their insurances straight through the site. They can get all of their services under group rates, and benefit from economies of scale together by negotiations with DHL for export. So there's a lot of different opportunities that came when all of these people came together under one umbrella. And every day we have to train someone. We've seen a lot of young people flourish on it because they were just hit the ground running and go. But then they also needed a lot of guidance and mentorship in terms of how to talk to people, how to send your business proposals out, how to get a distribution contract. And then we have a lot of people that, actually fit the 40 to 60 bracket. I have a woman that she said, at 60 years old, I never thought I could have a digital business, and she was able to sell. And she's on Google. The other day, she actually told me, she's like, did you see Google Trends? I've been using Google Trends to see what areas people are using stuff. And I was like, wow, she lives in Grandy. She's very she's making her frozen foods. And it's really amazing because, that generation does want to be involved. They do want to be parts of that dialogue. They are trying. And if we can make the connection between the younger people and them, where we're speaking to each other, not based on an age limitation, but based on a knowledge factor, there's a lot that both age groups and brackets can learn from each other. I think that's what digitization is doing to the world. It's bringing the youth and the adults together in a way that was never had before. I was never allowed to speak to my mom's friends or, those kind of things. I mean, I was allowed to speak to them, but not in a real conversation. Now you have 13 and 14-year-olds able to talk to a 50-year-old adult and show them something, So that's basically what we've been doing. That's our mission. It's sometimes difficult, but, we work through it. And I'm really glad to see that you all are here and in it with us as well,
Thanks very much, Miss Stephanie. I really enjoy it. And also, one more thing for you, like the belly biting app, like that. Isn't that was like a whole initiative you guys were a part of?
Belly Biting came on the show, so they just picked their business idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I really like the name and whatnot. So I
Yeah,
remember.
they were cool. They were cool entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Thanks very much. And Mr. Charles Bob, my question to you, sir, at this time is, what really drives you? Like, what is your motivation to go on in this whole thing?
Yeah, well, the motivation is hope. The hope that we will reach to the point we want to, because you see, the thing is, we will not add any value if we exist and don't give the baton to the future at a further point in the race. So what drives us is the potential, the what we can achieve, and the need to do better. You got something at one stage, the grass is 4 inches high, at least make it 3 inches high. Give it better to the next baton holders so that we could execute and achieve what we would like to achieve. And in particular in this discussion, which is digital transformation for Trinidad and Tobago. So that is what really drives, and seeing the support we have all the way from the Prime Minister and the setup of a new ministry, Ministry of Digital Transformation, and we have a focus as a country on digital transformation. It gives an additional breath of fresh air. Like, okay, guys, let us go do this and let us get it done.
Thank you very much. And this might be unexpected, but Mr. Lawrence, I would like to hear your views on this topic.
What is the question, Joanza?
Sorry about that. So I was just asking, like, what are your views on this whole conversation that we are having here? This wonderful thing.
I mean, honestly, Joanza, I've heard all the things that make me feel great about getting up each morning to come to work at the Heroes Foundation. It is so amazing to see these industry leaders saying things like, listen to the youth and learn from the youth. Innovation is about thinking about the future. It's about how do we make things better for the future. Now, everything that lines up to what we are doing at Heroes. And I think we got some really solid points about what we actually need to be doing as a country and as people to take us forward. So I absolutely love the conversation. I think it was a perfect start to our morning. And I just want to wrap up since we are at the end of the panel by asking all of y'all, Johanza, yourself included, what is one piece of advice that you're going to give everyone looking on this morning?
Well, one piece of advice I would give everyone this morning is basically keep learning, keep going on, and keep find a driving force, something that motivates you. For me, I like maths, and with maths, I found coding, and I really like coding and all that stuff. So find something that drives you, something that motivates you, and keep pressing forward. Don't stop. Don't let the times like hinder you in any way or whatnot. Just continue going, and that's my message to you.
I think that's some great advice. What about you, Charles?
I would say let us work together because as the in Carnival, when Imoko is walking down the road, someone has to clear the way and be like, okay, guys, clear the way, the Imoko is coming. I would say let us work together and let us get this thing done. So my advice, let us work together. Let us be a team and achieve it together.
Nice, excellent. Bernardo, you're on mute. You learn from me there.
Yeah, sorry. Hi. Find something that you love and be the best you can be on it. That's my advice.
Really excellent advice. And Stephanie, you get to close us off this morning. What is your advice to everyone here?
I think it's just to have tenacity to keep on going despite challenges. I think we all go through challenges and meet blocks and we feel like we're alone in it and it's difficult to get over. But every time you pass a challenge, it's like a game. You get to a new level, it's a new devil, So just keep working and working through the challenges and you'll eventually get there.
Excellent. Excellent. Some fantastic advice. Thank you all so very much for sharing this morning. We're definitely going to be reaching out and talking about these collaborations and partnerships that we could all take going forward so that the young people like Joanza have that solid foundation in this technology revolution that we need to really take the Caribbean forward. So thank you very much, folks viewing. We are going across to our second technology panel. So see you in a few moments.